Are you struggling to make real progress in learning Arabic? Or maybe you've heard of Al-Arabiyyatu Bayna Yadayk but do not know how to use it effectively. Perhaps you've tried to study it in the past but were unsuccessful. In today's video, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, I will show you how to make this book into the ultimate tool for mastering the Arabic language. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As mentioned in the introduction, in today's video I'll be discussing Al-Arabiyyatu Bayna Yadayk. Now the reason why I'm discussing this book is because this curriculum is one of the most widely taught curriculums taught around the world to non-native speakers. So if you're learning Arabic as a second language, you've most likely come across this book. Now this book is taught in most institutes in Egypt where many foreign students go to learn the language, and in multiple other countries, and that is for a reason. This book is extremely good at giving you sentence structures, vocabulary in real life, day-to-day contemporary scenarios. So for example, it will teach you how to navigate your way through an airport. It will teach you how to talk about the weather and many other topics that we use in our day-to-day lives. I studied this book in the UK and also in Egypt, and I noticed many differences in the way, or some differences in the way that is taught in Egypt and taught in the UK. However, these differences cause a significant difference in the amount of benefit that you can take from this book. Now the main difference between how this book is taught in Egypt and how it is taught in the UK, at least how I was taught and how I believe many are taught, was in the UK we'll go through the hiwars, through the conversations or the texts, and basically the teacher will give you a translation of the texts, and then you will go on to do the activities, and that's that. However, in Egypt, as you go through the text, the teacher will write down the vocabulary for you on the board, and you are expected to write this vocabulary down and to memorize it. So for example, if you come across the verb kataba, he wrote, the teacher will write this word on the board in 4 different forms. So he'll write it in the madi, which is kataba, in the mudari yaktubu, in the amr uktub, and in the masdar kitabah. So they will give it to you in the past tense, present tense, command and gerund. Likewise, when it comes to nouns, they will give them to you in 2 forms, in the singular and the plural. Also many teachers would give you words and the opposite. So for example, if you learn the word night, they'll give you day. If you learn the word tall, they'll give you short, and so on and so forth. Now this is extremely important when learning any language, because in order to learn any language you must memorize vocabulary, whether we like it or not. This is the only way to learn a language, because you could know as much sarf, morphology as you want, as much nahu as you want, grammar, but if you do not know what the words in the sentences mean, you will never understand the language. This course focuses on conversational Arabic, and it does teach you grammar. However, I believe that you should study the grammar separately. Having said that, even though that this is a conversational Arabic course, if you have a good teacher, they will teach you the essential vocabulary that you need in order to progress in your language as you go along. And as for studying a detailed or structured course, then you could study the Medina series or the series from Jamiat al-Imam or any other series. However, I believe that starting with this course is a great way to master the Arabic language, as it gives you sentence structures, vocabulary and real life scenarios that you can implement straight away, which will help you to master the Arabic language and also to stay consistent. As I've seen with many students, when they go down the grammar route, often they get bored and do not feel progress. However, with this series, I assure you, if you study it properly, you will feel the progress as you go along. Another key difference which I touched upon was that in Egypt they'll teach you the essential grammar that you need as you go along, and likewise the essential sarf that you need as you go along, and that is essential in order to truly benefit from this book. So for example, early on into your studies, your teacher should teach you al-jumla al-ismiya and al-jumla al-fi'liya, a nounal sentence versus a verbal sentence, and likewise they should teach you how to manipulate verbs. So for example, katabtu, I wrote, katabta, you wrote, katabti, you wrote, for a singular female, and so on and so forth. This should be done hand in hand, just giving you the basics that you need, not going into a lot of detail, but giving you the basics that you need to truly benefit from this book. Now, to give you some general advice in how to truly benefit from studying this book, the first piece of advice that I can give you is to actively learn and engage in your lessons. So if you've got an online teacher or a teacher where you are present within the class, then you should pay attention. Even if you are listening to recorded lessons, you should never be in your night clothes, sleeping in bed and trying to learn a language. Learning a language is no easy feat. It requires your attention, and it requires you to be patient and to actually actively engage in learning. Number two, I would advise you is to often repeat. What I would do when I was studying this book in Egypt is every night before I go to bed, all the chapters that I'd studied. So in this book, when you've studied a chapter, at the beginning of each chapter, there's usually 3 conversations or texts. So that's at the beginning of each chapter. So when I'd studied chapter 1, every night before I go to bed, I'd repeat the conversations or the text from chapter 1. When I got to chapter 2, I'd repeat it for chapter 1 and 2. When I got to chapter 3, I'd repeat them for 1, 2 and 3. So I'd just read them once before going to bed. Now this is an extremely easy way for you to memorize all of the content within the conversations and texts that you are learning. Even if you've completed a book, each book has 16 chapters. So in order for you to complete reading before you go to bed the conversations and texts from all 16 chapters, I believe it would take you no longer than between 20 to 30 minutes. The next general point of advice is to read aloud. This will help you with your proficiency and with your pronunciation. This is very important. If you can listen and repeat, this is even better, because this will also help you to improve your pronunciation and make you sound more like a native speaker. During your lessons, you should try to make notes. This is extremely helpful in helping you to retain the information learnt during your lessons. You should also practice sentence structures. Practicing sentence structures is very important. Whenever you learn a sentence structure, try to contextualize it in your head. So think about how you would use it in a real life situation. Also try to manipulate that sentence structure so you could use it differently. This will help solidify what you have learned. Something else that is very important is to complete any activities that your teacher gives you, as this will reinforce what you have learned. And Al-Arabiyyatu Bayna Yadayk has got its own tadribat or activities. Something that is also very important, which is a big benefit that I got from being in Egypt, and which you will have to strive if you're studying in the West to achieve, is practice speaking. I know that is not easy in the West, as we speak English there and we don't speak Arabic. However, you have to try. So try to speak to your teacher, to your classmates or colleagues if you have any. If you know any native Arab speakers, take any opportunity that you can get in order to practice with them. In today's day and time, we can use applications like italki and pay a fee to practice speaking to a native Arab speaker, and this is extremely important. When I studied in Egypt, I was studying for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and at least 1 hour of my lessons were just practicing speaking with my teacher, and this helped me tremendously. It is also very important for you to utilize and benefit from any supplementary material available. Now for this series, Al-Arabiyyatu Bayna Yadayk, alhamdulillah, for books 1 to 3, I made PDFs which have the vocab, as I mentioned previously, in the 4 different forms. So the Madi, Mudari, Amr and Masdar. So I've produced a PDF containing the verbs and also the nouns in singular and plurals. It doesn't include opposites, but alhamdulillah, this will significantly help you during your studies. If you want a copy, just fill out the form at the that's in the description. Click on the link, fill out the form, and bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we will email you a copy of these PDFs or a link to download them. Also, if you can find any supplementary material to simplify or make grammar easier, this will help you. The next piece of advice that I have for you is to be consistent and to have patience. This is extremely important when learning any language. Learning a language is not easy. It requires patience and hard work. So please be patient, do not give up, and you will see the fruits. I guarantee you, if you memorize the vocabulary as you go along, and if you read each hiwar each conversation or each text before you go to bed every day, I guarantee you will see the fruits, and you'll see them very quickly. So to conclude today's video, the key points in order to help you benefit from studying Al-Arabiyyatu Bayna Yadayk is to actively learn, often repeat, read aloud, make notes, practice sentence structures, complete all activities, practice speaking, benefiting from any supplementary material available, being consistent. Now, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, I am working on something with a team of brothers in order to make your journey of learning Arabic a lot easier. So stay tuned if you are interested. Also, please, if you have benefited from any of these points, implement them immediately, especially the memorizing vocabulary and the reading all of the hiwars before you go to bed, and I assure you that you will surely benefit. If you found these tips beneficial, hit subscribe for more Arabic learning content. Also, in the comments below, let us know if you are studying Al-Arabiyyatu Bayna Yadayk and which tips you are most excited to use. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, something exciting is coming soon to help you master Arabic even faster, so stay tuned. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.